It's time for another board recap podcast. How are you today, Dr. Smith?
It's a good day. There's a bright
Yes,
glow in the sky that we haven't seen for it seems like
right.
4 or 5 years, but,
That it was
you know,
was a while, that's for sure.
seriously, hearts go out to those that are struggling with floodwaters
Yeah, no kidding. That's just
um,
terrible.
because those are not things that happen one day and they're over the
Right.
next. So
And almost start to rear their ugly head when you think to those that are in higher areas, think, well, we've moved on, but
right.
lower areas are certainly feeling the
Yeah.
impact of that. Now, I always want to shout this out, and I know you agree, but when we had that inclement weather and we even had to cancel school for a day, again, kudos to our facilities team. Boy, they were out
Absolutely.
nonstop checking, monitoring, making
Right.
sure that anything that was affected by that weather was being corrected and checking to make sure other facilities weren't impacted. So when people think, oh, we're shut down, that facilities team, boy, they are in action.
Yeah, and since we're talking about, that event that happened last week, we had 7 facilities without power.
Mhm.
We also had numerous road closings, as everybody knows, lines down, just the uncertainty. We certainly contemplated a 2-hour delay
Mhm.
so that bus drivers and everybody could at least see the conditions. Unfortunately, one of the buildings that was without power was the administration
Mhm.
building, and that's where all of our bus
Mhm.
department is. So we did not have the ability to reroute any of our buses. Um, so that was very unfortunate. Just with all of that combining, it was just not a good environment, a safe environment to have school. Actually on Friday, so that would have been the day after we canceled school. I had a speaking engagement just a little bit north of here, and I drove past. Um, it was actually, I believe, Highway 65 that was
Mhm.
closed. So then I went
Mhm.
down St. Wendell Road. Later, it was confirmed that a tornado had gone through there,
Yes.
but there were
Yes.
huge trees that were uprooted, still lines that were down, telephone poles that were literally sheared in half. And even close to where I live, lots of limbs down on the street, certainly littered. And then you go another 100 yards, not a thing on the street.
Right. Right.
Bizarre. So,
Yeah,
uh,
storms definitely are unpredictable. I will say kudos to all of our families too. Had a lot of conversations with people, and I think everyone certainly understood. We tried to communicate in advance to be prepared.
right.
We knew the weather was coming, as everyone did, and I think everyone understood. You always say, and I always tell people, you certainly do not take the decision lightly to close school because we
Not at
know
all.
the impact that can have. But at the same time, we never want to put people at risk and in danger, whether it's our
Right.
students or staff. So our families getting out. So really appreciate everyone's support, and I think in the end
Absolutely.
it was a good decision.
And I think all of our families understand that you really cannot back a bus up.
No, no,
So if a bus and the road closure sign just came right up
right.
upon me.
And as a countywide system, that makes us unique. One of the nuances of that, certainly with weather, you're talking about driving on the far west side.
Right.
As a member of the drive team, my zone's the east side where I live. Very little impact at all the morning we were out. Very few, even little tiny limbs
Yeah.
down. So, we have to make decisions. Your neighborhood may look okay. That doesn't mean somewhere 2 miles away is in that same condition.
Well, and not to belabor this conversation, but in my backyard, part of it was littered, and my neighbor had a huge pine tree that was down. The other half of my yard, not a
Well,
not a leaf.
very interesting.
Yes.
Interesting for
Talk
sure.
about
So,
bizarre.
So back to your original point, it's nice to see the sun
Yes, it is.
shining. So let's
I think
jump
that's
in.
where we started the
Yes,
conversation.
that is where we started, and the sun is shining as we record this. Hope it's still shining as people listen to this later. But we'll start with last night's board meeting, if you will, and we'll take a look at good news. Always lots of good news. And recently, our community had their annual celebration through Leadership Everyone's Celebration of Leadership Award Recognition Night. Lots of people were over at the O&B Event Center. And it's just a great way to see so many individuals and groups just doing great things to support people in our community. And EVSC is always well represented. So if you've been on our social media, you can check that out. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, you can see it. But we had 7 representations from EVSC, whether it's group programs, individuals. So just kudos to them and everyone who was recognized by
Yes.
LE on that night.
And, I wanna lift the Barry Link program.
What a great program
I
and
was
partnership.
absolutely, I was having a conversation with someone just in the previous hour, and, those are things that our students have
Hmm.
opportunities, they are afforded those opportunities because of the great community in which we live. And now we just kind of take those things for granted.
Sure.
And I don't ever
No.
want to take the partnerships that we have with our businesses and other industries, healthcare for granted, or universities. Um, Not every community has that. In fact,
I
I
think
think
you're right.
we are certainly in the exception when it comes to outstanding partnerships.
Yes, we are very fortunate because while we have those programs that we're investing in, if it's with a partner, like in the example you're lifting, Barry Link, Barry is investing as well. And they wouldn't
Absolutely.
invest in a program as a business if they didn't believe in it.
Completely agree.
So yeah, kudos to all of them. I also lifted Plaza Park basketball, boys basketball last night. We talk a lot about varsity level sports, maybe at the high school level, but in EVSC we certainly have robust programs starting at the elementary all the way into middle school. And Plaza Park boys basketball, both their seventh and eighth grade teams won city championships. That doesn't happen a lot in the world of middle school athletics. And the eighth grade basketball team actually went undefeated for all 3 years of middle school. Those boys didn't lose a game. That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. And I think the coaches at Harrison
I
have taken note of
I
that
would
also.
say they have taken note of that. So yeah, congratulations to Plaza Park for that. One of our local radio stations, WKDQ, has a Teacher of the Month program, which we certainly appreciate. Anyone who likes to recognize educators, I know you are a strong believer in that. And this month, they named Carrie French, who is a fifth grade teacher at West Terrace, as their Teacher of the Month. So congratulations to her.
That's right.
And then finally, robotics. And I know you really are active getting involved in visiting these teams, but I'll lift this. And then if you want to chime in, Dr. Smith, at the recent state competition, we had representation in robotics from North High School, from New Tech, from Bossy High School. They all qualified for the state championships. And then New Tech actually then was able to advance where they're going to be in the world championships. But I know this is something you really enjoy as well.
Yeah, and thank you. They New Tech will go down to Houston to be in the World
Yes, which
Championship.
they've done before.
They have, and as I am taking the exit tour
Yes.
around, still have several months to go. But one of the, I think, humbling moments was when I attended the reveal at New Tech for the robot. They called me over and said, "Hey, uh, we want to announce that we are naming this year's robot Superbot in honor of your tenure as superintendent and
Which
just
is
in terms
very
of
neat.
appreciation of support."
Yes,
So that meant a lot to me.
sure. And you have supported that. I know that's something
No,
there's we have so many things as superintendent. My goodness, you could be going to things all of the time, but that's something that as you visit schools and programs, that's a program I know you've seen so much value in.
uh, I really do. And it combines all the elements that I think are so important in education today. Understanding the world in which we live, the STEM related activities, and then also the component of team and student leadership. This it really is a student led team. The skills that they are learning, not just in terms of technology, but in terms of leadership and
Mhm.
collaboration and getting along with other teammates,
It
or
really is
skills
a
that will
team.
serve them
They
well.
work
Yes.
together
So,
closely.
so it was kind of humbling to hear that
Uh,
named after me. But
Congratulations, well deserved.
I think also because we have a beloved custodian who retired just a few years back, but worked well into her 90s
Yes,
and was kind of adopted by New Tech, and she adopted New Tech, and her name was Betty. So they named the robot that year after
that's right.
Betty. So it
That's
was
right.
the Betty bot,
Right. Right.
and just kind of a lot of fun.
No, that is fun and exciting, and again, at its core, it is a great learning experience for all of the
Absolutely,
students
you bet.
at our schools that participate in robotics. So kudos to all of them, and that takes us through good news. So if you would take us through consent,
All right.
please.
Well, I will jump into the agenda at item 3.02, which is the consideration of the allowance of payments. And this allowance of payment schedule was actually for the entire month of March, so that's why it is larger at $20,706,818.15 because there were two pay periods within that period of time. And I think $3.6 million in invoices. So that's why that is a sum that is larger than what we typically see. Item 3.03, consideration to approve the agreements with the Academy of Science and Medicine. And once again, I think this is a proud moment
Mm,
for us because we have graduates from the Academy of Science and Medicine that now are coming back and giving back to current students enrolled in the Academy of Science and Medicine. Um, So ASM, as we call it, is just one of the, I think, key elements and opportunities that our students have.
Hmm.
And
For sure.
it's great to see that continuing to grow and grow and grow. And it frankly is at capacity now. So we have some things that we can talk about later where we will add capacity because we are a regional hub for healthcare, with great healthcare providers, namely in Ascension St. Vincent, as well as Deaconess Healthcare Systems. And they are hungry for high quality workers. So we can
It's
give
almost a marriage
kids.
made in heaven,
It is.
if you will. I mean, like you said, they need talent being developed, and boy, do we have talent that we're trying our best
Right.
to develop, and through programs just like this. And again, ASM, if you're forgetting one of our innovative models, you can attend school anywhere and be a part of that.
Right.
So it's not like it's just housed at one school for those students,
Correct.
and it is the experiences they get are second to none.
Second to none is right, and they get experiences that typically are reserved for second and third year med school students. So they have quite the leg up.
Mhm.
Somewhat of a pun intended.
Still, no, that was very creative. I like that, and I still remember having the conversation when we were doing some video work a couple of years ago to for ASM. The student who was in her postdoc work,
Mhm.
who was then reflecting back on as she was having interviews for her doctoral studies to get into a program, and she said this was probably unique that here I'm talking to folks for graduate level coursework to get in, and I'm reflecting on my learning experiences, not from the bachelor's lane in
Right.
college, but back from high
Yeah.
school because I was a member of this innovative program. She said, I don't think that
Yeah.
typically happens. You would talk more about what you learned in college. So it's
Absolutely,
impressive.
and specifically, she talked about the research project that
Hmm.
she, performed while a high school senior, and that was really the thing that
Hmm.
propelled her into the
Yeah.
research as a grad
And you've
student.
attended those before. I know when they do
Yes,
those, I have too. And you feel like you're at a university setting.
incredibly impressive.
Yes.
Once again, wouldn't happen without the collaborative effort
Mm.
of our doctors and healthcare
Yes.
providers. Moving on then to item 3.04, consideration to approve the purchase agreement of the property at 3903 North First Avenue. So we've talked several minutes about New Tech. New Tech is a high school that is located in a facility that originally was an elementary school and then middle school. So it is a great facility
Mhm.
for New Tech, but didn't have quite the parking necessary for a high school, albeit a smaller high school, and all the things that they do on the weekend. So this will now allow us to expand the parking for the facility at
Yeah.
New Tech, which
Not
is
as many
located on
elementary
First
students
Avenue.
drove to school as they do in a high
Not too
school,
many, right?
typically.
Item 3.05, consideration to approve curriculum resources for the 25-26 school year. And there are many on here, but you will see once you open up that document, you'll see the name of the vendor. You'll then see the name of the product. You will see the end user. So if you look there on your screen, if you're able to watch this, the high school AP psych classes, well, that is a new vendor because there have been new standards that have been updated for AP or advanced placement psychology. So then this new textbook aligns and reflects those changes in the latest standards that have been set by the College Board. So you will then see the previous cost. In this particular case, there was none from this particular vendor. You'll see the new cost, and then you will also see the description and the source of funding. So we just want everybody, all of the public, to understand all of the information that pertains to our curriculum is located on this document. And
Which is on Board Docs. So if you're
it,
listening to the podcast, go
right,
to Board Docs. You can go to this. You'll have all the attachments there as part of this description. You can click on and
yeah.
read everything you're referencing.
So, and there is so much work that goes on
Mm, yes.
just before someone or something can be placed on this document. So, appreciate all the work of our administrators and certainly of our teachers to help us select the curriculum.
And then that takes us into personnel
Yeah.
recommendations.
So, 4.01 personnel recommendations. And as I say it this time, you can click on that link and those recommendations are there for your perusal.
Okay. And then into action items from last night, five of
Yes.
them.
So 5.01 to 5.04 were presented as information items in the last board meeting. I'm sorry, in the first, no, the last board meeting, or the
Yes.
only board meeting actually.
Right.
That would be March the 17th. And So those action items remain unchanged. 5.01, so this is to award the contract for Bossy baseball and softball field lighting at Washington Middle School. So I know that our patrons at Bossy are thrilled to have
Yes,
this
that's a
project finally
yes,
go up.
looking forward to that.
Yes, item 5.02, consideration award the contract for Bossy High School first floor quarter flooring project of 2025. And I I love the interior and the exterior of Bossy High School. This carpet has been down for quite some time. So on the first floor, it will be removed and then we will replace it. Actually, we're using a Mohawk product now that are carpet squares. I
Mhm,
think they're 2x2 squares,
mhm.
which is great because if there is a stain that is on one square, we can typically pop
Yes,
that square up and put a new square down.
correct.
Item 5.03, consideration award the contract for the Wrights High School Stadium renovation project of 2025. And as we have indicated numerous times, unfortunately, the product that we put down in 2020 did not perform as it was expected to perform. So we are having to do a major renovation because the remedy to remove that product would actually destroy the underlying contract. And I've been in this business a long time and never seen anything like this
Mhm.
before. But in order to remove that product, it would take 15,000 psi hydroblasting and concrete underlying that product, both at Wrights as well as an in-low stadium, could not withstand
Right.
that kind of pressure.
Especially when you're talking historic venues like
Right.
that. I mean, they're just it just would not work.
So we basically are putting a aluminum veneer over that and then making all of it ADA compliant. Those that have been at Wrights Bowl know that on the home side, the rise in the
Mhm.
steps is very large. Uh,
That's gonna be a great improvement,
right,
really, for that aspect,
right.
ADA compliance for spectators
Yeah.
there.
So not only is the rise very large, but we don't have adequate handrails, I think,
Mhm.
for that. So all of that will be remedied with this. 5.03 consideration award, I'm sorry, 5.04 consideration to award the contract with Franklin Covey for McGarry Middle School. So using their Title I dollars, they're going to implement the four disciplines of execution framework, which I think will be very beneficial for faculty, staff, as well as students. And then 5.05, preliminary determination hearing for general obligation bonds of 2025B. We did talk quite a bit about ASM and the great work that they do. We also have a companion program at the Career and Tech Center called Health Sciences. Both of those programs are at capacity. So this bond issue would allow us to grow the capacity of those two programs. Specifically at Central High School, this will renovate the area of Central High School that has not been renovated since the school was built in 1971.
Many people, if you don't go back behind the building, may not even
Right,
realize unless you went to Central that that exists back there,
right.
but you don't see it from First Avenue.
So the success that students have certainly is limited by facilities that are not
Mhm.
up to date when we talk about wet labs and all of the things that students need to be exposed to when we think about science and medicine. So this will bring that up to the appropriate standards and then will allow us to grow the programs to meet the students that are on the wait list for each program.
Which at the end of the day is good for students. I mean, that's why
Absolutely.
we're in this business and why we're doing this type
And
of work,
absolutely good for the community.
for sure.
I know as I am getting closer to retirement, and typically when you get older, you have a few ailments that perhaps you didn't have when you were younger. And I hope and pray that we have and continue to have outstanding healthcare professionals. And that's really what our community deserves. And we are
Mhm.
very proud to be able to supply pipeline of highly trained individuals to go into all
Absolutely.
healthcare professions.
Yes, for sure. And then let's see, last night we had one information item.
Yes, so this is Salvus Learning Company. This is a new company to us, but we have provided PSYOP training before. And this really is a train the trainer model specifically geared to helping our teachers with multi language learners. So this will be for 60 participants, including teacher leaders, instructional coaches, department chairs. They will complete that 5-day training, and then they will be expected then to provide that training for all of our teachers in that true training to teacher or
Train
train
the
the
trainer
trainer
model.
model, yes.
Correct. And then that took us to continued business last night. I know you started off by sharing with the board just some things you've been doing lately, one of which I know visiting early learning programs, which it's near and dear to your heart. I
Yes.
know, really seeing where that learning starts, which is so amazing with our programming. And then also, as he has been doing, Trustee Kiefer provided on behalf of the board members kind of an update, which he's been doing on the superintendent search. So again, he referenced, if you're listening to this and you have some questions, you can always go to our website, evscschools.com. There's a button on the left, Superintendent Search. So he referenced the dates that are being followed. He also talked about our consultant that we're working with from the Indiana School Board Association. You can hear a podcast I did with him, very informative from his experience. But Trustee Kiefer talked about how they had their applications. That period ended. They then worked with the consultant, determined who was going to get first round interviews. Those have now been completed. They're now in the process of contacting those individuals who are moving to the next round of interviews. Those are going to be coming up in the near future. And then he kind of referenced the timeline for hopefully in May when a contract per statute will be posted without a name. And then after that period, I think it's 10 days legally, then they'll be set to have a school board meeting where they will be then announcing the name of the new
I actually have a
superintendent.
public hearing on that
The public
contract.
hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
And then after that, then we'll announce the new superintendent.
Okay. Okay. So I think in a nutshell, the process is continuing to go well. I think our board members obviously are very committed to this. They know how important it is after your 14-year tenure to the success of our organization, and they're certainly putting their heart and soul into it. So Trustee Keefer will provide more updates with each following meeting.
Yeah, and two key points. First of all, I think I've been blessed to have a very stable tenure here because the board has been very stable.
Which is somewhat unique for communities. Once again, we are fortunate here.
Very, very unique. And I know that board members, and they certainly do respect the confidentiality of this process.
Absolutely.
But I've had several remark that all the candidates in the first round were highly, highly capable and very polished and refined individuals. And in this second and final round, they're really looking for what is the best fit because at that level, everyone
Absolutely.
has the capability to be a superintendent. They want to make certain that they have the best fit for EVSC and the Evansville community to meet the expectations that Evansville has specifically for our public schools.
Right.
And then,
go
and
ahead.
then simply the second part is I've had numerous patrons that have commented how grateful they are to have a one place to look at everything when it
Where
comes
we've
to the
housed that.
superintendent search. Anything that anyone wants to know about the superintendent search can be found on our webpage. And many people have commented how they certainly appreciate that and feel informed, even if they might be the one or two people in Vanderbilt County that do not listen to this podcast.
Well, there you go. And the one thing I was going to add, and I've heard several people say this, when you think about, you hear comments from board members being impressed with the talent pool of individuals interested in this position. Ultimately, that speaks highly of our community and the EVSC, because if this school district and this community were not desirable options for people, you wouldn't have people interested in taking on a CEO type position as a superintendent. So that speaks highly of everything here.
And there were highly qualified applicants from 1,000 mile away. So it wasn't just Indiana, just wasn't this region.
Right. Right. So
all that I think fares well.
I think it does. So, but don't go anywhere, Dr. Smith, because we've got you for a few more months yet. So hang in there. All right. Well, we appreciate you going through this with us today, and thanks for listening.
My pleasure. Take care and God bless.